Hi guys. So the last subcategory of the first part is attacking an uncastled king, namely a king that's kind of stuck in the center. I'd like to show an example game of this. It's Kotov against Kalmanok. Was played in Moscow 1935. White started with d4 and now we get the French. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, takes e4, knight takes, bishop e7, takes, pawn takes, sorry about that, why isn't this working, knight f3, knight d7, and here, bishop c4. The purpose of this move is to prevent black from making a simple developing move, a very natural c5, because then white would play d5, and if black doesn't take, maybe even d6. So let's say black takes, there could be a queen recapture, threatening mate, just preventing white from castling basically. Let's look at that a little bit. c5, d5. This is, I guess, fine for black if he plays f5. Remember, it's an old book, but let's look at this now. I guess black could castle, but it's a little bit awkward for black, I guess. But anyway, this move c4 has another purpose that we will soon see. So black plays c6 and then queen to d2 and now b6. So now what should white do? It looks like a fairly normal position, right? Well, now if he delays, even if he waits even for like one or two moves, then black would be able to finish his development and get castled. But white attacks straight away. He plays queen to h6. So now the threat is to play queen g7 and to win the h7 pawn. So now black has to move once more a piece that they've already moved. So bishop f8. Now queen f4. Castle long. King b1. And now queen to g3. Now the threat is the same. Queen to g7 and queen to h7, and after that the h pawn will be won. So now black must defend again. So f5. So what would you play here as white? Remember, the idea here is to prevent black from castling, and we're willing to sacrifice material for it. What white played here is d4, d5. And notice if black takes here, then knight f6 is mate. And if black takes here, then we take on e6, and next move we're going to take on f7, and that's actually a mate threat, so black would have to give up some material to prevent that. So that's why black played c takes d5. Now bishop check and knight to e5. We don't even care about this knight. We have some very strong threats going on against d7. If black takes that knight, for example with the f pawn, then we have threats against f7. Let's say rook f7 takes, and this looks pretty good for white. So here black played queen to c7. Let's say he played bishop c8. Then we could have queen g7, rook takes d5, rook to f7 check, and rook to g6 check. And now this is mate. Look at both of the pieces are pinned, so they can't defend. So we had queen c7, now bishop takes, queen g7, knight to g5, bishop takes e6, and black resigned. Notice how white has this nice family fork in case black recaptures. And if he doesn't recapture, then f7 is gonna fall, f5 is gonna fall, probably d5 as well, and the king position is just not very good. The engine suggestion is king to c7. Then we can play knight d3, and for example take here. And if we take here, then we have knight e6 check, followed by knight takes f8. So, and if king goes here, then we have a fork. So that's why better is perhaps queen to d6. Now we can play knight e6 check anyway, and king wants to go to b8 probably. Now we can take here, and if king takes, there's a knight check, and we win the queen. So that's why f takes e6 is better. You can see there are just endless variations that white can perform just because the king was stuck in the center. So let's say rook h8, queen f7. We're up a piece, but it's plus 11. At this point, black should sacrifice the queen, because let's say he plays something like this, it's gonna be mate in 7. And if a6, then knight b7 mate. Any other ways for black to play? I think maybe queen here. We can just exchange, and this is actually a mate in 2. Very beautiful mate. So that was the underlying tactic there. So anyway, I think this was a great game, showing how you can play against the opponent's king if it's stuck in the center. See, black didn't choose to keep the king in the center, really. So that's when you can sacrifice pawns and pieces even, just to keep that king in the center. Basically all started here. So thanks for watching. That ends part 1, and I've already started part 2 a little bit, but it'll take me a while to read it, and then I will maybe make only one video about it.